call meeting to order. Young County Commissioners Court, regular meeting, July 14, 2014. My clock I have 9:34 a.m. I'd note that notice was given in the manner for the time required, and also that all members were present. If you will, please stand.
Right. Father, we just come today to thank you, Father, for the day. Father, we thank you for your blessings. Father, we thank you for your mercy and your grace. Father, we just ask for your guidance and your direction today in our meeting today. Pray for wisdom and decisions being made, Father. We just ask for your guidance. Father, we just thank you for this rain that you're about to send our way, Lord. We just ask, Lord, we thank you for the reward, Lord. Lord, this, forgive us for what we failed you. We ask you in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honorable Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you very much. Okay, number 3, public comments, presentations. Does anybody have any? I have none on the agenda. Any of y'all have any? I know you had a nice trip.
It was a great conference. I told the commissioners that came in that TCDRS is, I mean, you're going to learn something whether you want to or not. They go over everything. Had a good trip. They shut the hotel down with security Wednesday night because the president stayed at the Sheraton with us. He didn't have dinner with us or anything, but I'm sure he was there. Some of them saw him, but whatever. But it was good.
Heard on the radio where he got to cut in line at a barbecue place down in Austin.
Was that
Right? He had anybody?
Franklin.
I believe
Was
that's
it
it.
Franklin? It was Franklin.
Well, there you go.
I believe the news story I read that was he had no tact for Texas barbecue because he was willing to cut in front of everybody,
Yeah, it's all about the weight, Franklin, too, man.
Oh, yes, selling it.
especially for those who've been there since 7 o'clock.
Clean weight.
Orange Men Conference. Did you learn anything to bring back to educate us with?
My brain is full.
Just show us your new iPad.
It's downstairs.
So,
And I had a nice trip. I'm very thankful to be back in Young County, Texas, safe, sand. Long way, lots of sand, lots of water, none to drink. And people everywhere, and I can't imagine. Well, we did kind of rough estimate how many vehicles we saw encountered, I guess, on the way back. We figured it 165,800 vehicles.
We all work for it.
And that,
I've heard to count cars,
we
but.
tried to guess at how much fuel, and we figured it took about 28 million barrels of oil to.
Wow, that was a long drive.
About 900 miles. Anyway, that's all we're I have anybody else.
it appears we're going to have a beer and wine sales election with our election in November.
There is a petition on my desk that I'm working through at the moment.
What's that going to do to your work?
It's pretty much taken care of this week and probably part of next week.
I'm going to guess that upon verification of that petition, are you going to do that each signature, or are you going to sample it?
I have to do each signature. I have to do each signature.
Each signature?
Each
Did
signature.
that call for a sampling of that many?
We have too few to do a sampling.
Okay. I suppose after they're verified, if they are, then that'll be presented to the court before we call that election.
Whether they are or not verified, we will have to put it in front of you guys on the 11th of August.
Okay. Was there a time deadline on that petition?
Friday was the deadline. They got it to me Friday morning. For all of you that missed the newscast.
And that's part, the petition was for Justice Precinct 1. Is that correct?
I talked to Kenneth Savell this morning. He's working on our 2013 audit, which we've been waiting. Vince emailed me. It was in Austin, I think, and I responded. He will have it. He'll probably have us a draft in the next week. Probably have it, if we have a commissioner's court on the 4th of August, he may have it ready then, but for sure that second week in August.
We got a letter from him, I believe,
Was that the one that we sent to the lawyers?
and did we put that on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay. A letter.
Yes, this is, remember he sent out, he had to send out these letters to, lawyers that we dealt with on our TAC for our lawsuits. This is in response to that from those lawyers with the cases that we had pending.
Okay. Okay, item number 4, consider county clerk's minutes from previous meeting, July 7, 2014. Are there any additions, corrections, or deletions?
So moved.
Second. Motion by Commissioner Wiley, and second by Commissioner Rogers to accept those minutes as presented. All in favor? Carried. 5-0. Consider update on security pledges.
$49,379.06.
And that's how much over? That's good. That, motion approved.
Second.
Wiley. To approve those security pledges as presented, all in favor? Carried. Consider auditor's budget amendments and or payment of vouchers. We'll combine 6 and 7 there.
Okay, I have no amendments today, but I do have vouchers for a total of $80,928.98.
And of that, $49,363.56 is out of the general account.
Okay.
Second those vouchers.
Second. We have a motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Rogers to approve those vouchers payable as presented. All in favor? Carried.
You know, I can't ever stop at that. I have a couple more things. I received an invoice from Guardian Security Solutions. This is our camera in the courthouse. Extended warranty agreement to cover period from 7/6/14 through 7/6/15 for $1,770.80. And I'd like to take that out of courthouse security, which has $16,000 plus dollars in it. $1,770.80. July 6/14 through July 6/15. That's 1 year.
Okay, does that cover everything, the player, the payout, the quarter and everything?
Yes. And it's a quote, right? What an invoice?
It's a proposal, yes.
Proposal, okay.
Any recommendations on that?
Well, honestly, with our system aging, it wouldn't be a bad idea. It's not going to cover acts of God, but in the event that the hard drives decided to give up or internal hardware need to be replaced, this would cover it.
Is there a deductible on that?
No.
What did our last recorder cost us? Did we have one replaced?
No, the past 2 instances where we've had to work on the recorder or the system, one was both hard drives took a hit
and seized. And so those were replaced, but those were about 300, between I think it was right about $600 a piece. And the last one was a power supply that a power surge popped.
Would this cover that?
I don't believe
It
so.
says we do not cover vandalism, power surges, lint or dirt in DVRs and the results of lint or dirt or any act of God resulting in storms. Battery replacement is not covered in warranty. Says all equipment installed from noted invoice, which is the invoice for all the cameras, will be covered under this agreement. If equipment fails due to use or age, Guardian repair or replace with like equipment based on Guardian's judgment.
Right. So in the event a camera went out for just simply for end of life, they would come through and replace it.
What does the capital cost to do or so?
It's in the, you know, as time progresses, and these aren't full-blown HD cameras, you know, with some technology it reduces with time. So the cost should be around about $100 a camera at this point. So we would have to have a pretty big event happen that wasn't considered act of God for us to recoup the $1,700 that we would spend.
Were we covered for the past year?
Yes.
Did we
This is-
collect anything like the past year?
No, we didn't.
In my opinion, it's gonna cost us one way or the other, thing that takes place, so. Say that $1,700 or that $1,800, use it when it does go bad.
That's good advice. Money does better in our pocket than it does in theirs.
Okay, so just call them and tell them we don't want the extended warranty. Okay?
Can you install those cams?
Yes.
It's a matter of just plugging it in and bolting it back on it.
And
To a
the
degree.
recorder also, if it goes out, it's just plug and play, so to speak.
Not necessarily. The recorder's a little bit more detailed. The power supply was extremely easy to replace. It took me about an hour. So to have them do it, it would have cost about $700, and we did it for just the cost of the equipment.
I think we'll just take a chance.
I'll let them know. On a heavier note, let's talk about insurance. We had an no, this isn't dirty work. We had an insurance run that came in on Friday for $23,964.12. And I looked at it, and what I'm seeing now, what I'm expecting, because I know some surgeries and different things going on with employees, we're gonna fix to have a lot of them that will not go over the 35,000, but they're getting right up to it. So that's gonna hit us hard because there are several. I have $20,762 in the bank, so I'm not cutting the mustard for the payment of this voucher run from last Friday. I get a voucher run every Friday. In fact, the one that I got Friday, you can usually expect a bigger run when you have your script care, or your prescriptions on there. The prescriptions weren't on this one, so they'll be on another one coming up this month. So I need money again. You know, when we did the budget last year, we know we didn't increase the amount we were putting in there for the claims and things, and we knew this would be a possibility, so we know something has to be done.
Is that a hint?
I'm just saying.
Just saying.
If we increase the amount we're putting in, that might be budgeted for, we're going to our tax rate. The way we're doing it now, which we have no idea of how much. We've discussed these things before here about how do you plan for the placements in juvenile?
Exactly.
You know,
Just like-
seems to me that, you know, that we continue to do it the way we're doing it. We might modify it some manner to replace what we're taking out. But so far as staying ahead of these vouchers, these payment, you know, how many people are gonna be healthy, how many people aren't?
You don't know, and at least with, you know, either way, we're responsible for $35,000 on every person that has doctor bills. And who's to say who's gonna be?
The county needs to look at a different way of insuring this group.
What do you suggest?
Well, I talked to Ann, but I'm looking at, we still have, 2 more Fridays in this month. I mean, I have very little reimbursement coming back from some that did go on over 35,000 earned a year, so we will put in, what's usually the end of the month check around 60,000 is what we're pulling out of the budget to put in at the very end, so I'll have that to put in for the last week of July. 100 or 150,000.
Let's do the 100,000. That'll carry you through, and then you'll get your 60,000.
Right, we'll put it in the last week of July. But see, the only thing is, as of August 1st, then you have your premiums, which are 40,000 to come out of that you have to pay. So you don't have a lot left for claims once premiums are paid out of
I think we've done pretty good this year.
Considering, I think,
In relation to last year.
that's it.
Yes.
What's the number today that we can put in there?
For this year, wasn't it 150 that we went for? Read it back and look it up.
No, last year is the one we
Last year.
keep putting it in.
Yeah, last year it was like, I was coming to you every couple of months because we had so many going over. And then once we started getting the reimbursement, it kind of helped a little bit.
What is the budgeted amount that we're putting into that account
Per person,
for the entire group?
it's like, it's $600, $600 a person.
Where's it at?
75 times.
It's in each budget, so, yeah.
$45,000?
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
We're not putting in there.
Well, that's the thing is,
It's a, yeah, it's
I mean, you can't plan it, you should be more prudent than that.
It's about 75,000 a year, because there's about close to 100 full-time.
75.
But still,
So, how much is that putting in each check? Or each month?
each month for each, for a year for each person, it's like
$50.
$7,500 a year for each person.
On the extra that we're putting in the account for.
That's what we're pulling out to pay for premiums and claims. So, I mean, we knew that,
How much are we adding to the premium to pay these claims on our self-insurance account?
added to the premium,
Did you say we're paying extra?
no.
Or you're charging extra to put in the account for this?
You don't understand what you're.
I don't understand what you're saying either.
Yeah, in the budget for each person, we have like $600 for every person's owner insurance per month.
Okay, and that's what the insurance is costing us?
No,
Okay,
it costs us, okay, so for the premiums, I think it's a little less than $300.
Per employee, yeah, per month.
like double than what we're doing.
So it's 300 times 75 times 12.
Well,
So
what
she's doing
you're
what
doing
you
is
said.
you put $660,000 a month in.
Right.
Exactly, with $600 per employee per month, which comes out to about $60,000. And out of that 60,000, 40,000 of that goes to the premium.
That's what I'm asking, what happens? This is over and above the premium
Yes,
that we're putting in here. I was asking, what is it that we're planning for over and above the premium
you're
that we're paying?
$40,000 basically.
I understand the premium is just for the reinsurance over the 35.
That's it, over the 35? So, you know, somebody's paying for that first $35,500.
Yeah.
You know,
That's right.
so, last year that was like 140,000, but county premiums.
We've moved 250 this year so far, you just looked at that first.
So if we raise the premiums and lower that amount that we're being self-insured, we may be actually spending less per year.
You mean lower from 35 to like 25 or 30? I think we looked at that and we used to have it lower. We used to have it years ago at 30 even, but it made such a difference in the premium that they.
What's ACA gonna do with this year?
We're fixing to see, I guess.
We're fixing to enter another solar system.
Okay, so,
Cheryl, we have received 83,000 back in stop loss this year.
so we had quite a bit out that ones that have gone over, so until we, got that, but I like I say on these that I'm looking at now, I don't think most of them are gonna go over the 35,000, just from what was done.
You're talking about until October first? Or is this fiscal year? Fiscal year?
If I look, if I look at this, this year, this year, till the end of September, I don't know of anything else big or any other big major things going on.
We got 2 more months left in this. Everybody stay healthy. The thing I remember last year whenever she was presenting that is even after we put the money in we put in, we were still ahead of the game. Had we have dropped it to a lower.
We still put less money in than the premiums would have cost us for
It would have
lower
lowered
insurance.
Yes.
Well, we can do that medical account anyway, you need Baxter to do. We backed off that medical account last year to run your budget in the balance. Big loss. I mean, we had the, I can't remember what it came out to, we backed off that.
Because we had talked about going up on, but then we decided if we did need money,
We just
we
take
just
it.
take it out of.
The very same thing that we're looking at with the placements. It's hard to figure out what budget, but like the same token, we know we have a track record of the last 2 years that we can look at and see and get more somewhere in the middle of it and get a little bit closer to it.
Well, we did have reserves that we moved back in the money.
Yeah, that was good. Was it 8?
We did this partially self-insured deal, primarily because we were having great difficulty in getting people or companies to bid on us. We took this approach.
We provide our employees with an additional benefit by working with policy that's got HSA, medical savings account, health savings account on it, and we could increase our deductibles, which would really help on premiums, and add that to the employee's HSA account. So the employees stay healthy, they get to keep it. Should they don't, there's one to help them with larger deductibles.
We're probably talking about being fully carried by somebody.
Exactly. With a larger deductible, rather than just lowering the amount of self-insurance you get.
I don't know how that works on this self-insured deal.
Self-insured may be the problem.
Well, on the list there, well, it was how TAC had raised their rates 6 to 8% on most counties.
And those will be fully insured.
Getting somebody to bid on it's gonna be no problem.
Yeah,
I understand, so we're going to have to conform some way in a manner in which they're going to want our business, and through ACA, it's going to be a higher deductible
I have talked to
with
TAC.
more maintenance benefits up front, so, but it's going to be higher.
So today, our problem today, 100,000 out of reserve funds into
From
money market to, insurance account.
Can I ask a couple other questions?
Sure.
The money from the Richie Rose auctions has been received?
Yes.
Okay, it's been
Now, I haven't, it's been put into the revenue part, but I did not move it down into the expense
And
line.
the insurance money from the hailstorm has been received
Yes.
so far as is owed currently? Is there any depreciation costs in that policy, or is it all ACV?
I don't know how, what Kevin told me, the Avatar, he said, y'all look at what it's gonna cost to do it. And now they've sent you what they've sent you, and if it's gonna cost more to, then let them know immediately, and
Does that mean he's going to pay you?
very strong possibility.
Okay. I'd like to see if it goes up $2,000, that we may get a actual cash value amount based on the 2,000, but not the entire 2,000. Because as far
Have
as
you got
I can tell,
somebody
look
look
at,
at yours yet?
no, I haven't. And along that lines, the greenhouse that was paid for out of 3205, that money needs to be given to juvenile probation because that's actually a piece of their equipment
Oh, it's
for the gardening program rather than the building for precinct one.
that. Just right there.
I'll need to talk to those insurance folks.
I can just some names and stuff,
Okay.
Do we need to go ahead and call it in when we're done with our project?
but, do we have, estimate and bill and all that?
Bills have come in, we're waiting for questions.
I can call Kevin this afternoon, just kind of let him know what we're looking at.
Roofs are replaced and everything.
Was the amount they estimated in line with what you paid to get it done? So there'll probably be no more money coming from.
I won't be, because the adjuster didn't have my billing figured out per square foot, so I know there'll be increasing that.
Did he come
But
back?
it's because of
Can't come back.
the situation he created.
Adjuster
The thing about it is though, if you don't replace what they're asking you to pay you for, when it comes back again,
Yeah,
it's out of your pocket.
if they pay you for what, and don't fix it, it'll come off your next claim, or they've got a reason to not renew.
Now you're looking at 100% a renewal. If it
You
comes
don't get,
in,
you don't get replacement costs though.
within the next short period of time, and within this year and this cycle, I think it's time to start depreciating. We're better off than we was.
Do I need to call, make sure he comes back out, or is he trying to schedule to come back out?
I was gonna get it looked at first.
Okay, you tell me when,
What it costs, and then they said that it just,
I think Darcy will be on the agenda next meeting. I think I sent you all stuff. Regarding the jail.
To the jail.
The roof will get in.
So, I don't know. You want him to organize any of that? I guess he's been doing some of that, hasn't he?
he, and he'll sure look at it. See if it's in.
I'll handle mine.
Huh?
I'll handle mine.
I'm coming in that too. We're using waste money.
They vote on the 100,000?
Yeah, 100,000. I'll second you.
Sure.
Anyway, back.
We have a motion, but
To take it out of that. Take it out of
100,000.
Money market.
money market.
we have a motion by Commissioner Wiley, second by Commissioner Pruitt, to move $100,000 from the money market account into the insurance medical line. Is that correct?
Yes. Insurance claims.
All in favor? Carried 5-0. Okay, we took no action on the warranty on security system.
Yes.
Item number 8, consider extension agent Brad Marshall, Penny Barron, Court, and request for reimbursement on Marshall 749.78, Barron 1281.51.
So,
Second. Have a motion by Commissioner Sipes, is that correct? Second by Commissioner Rogers, to approve the request for reimbursement as stated. All in favor? Carried. Item number 9, Young County Appraisal District request for refund, Carol Hanson, $753.01 for a double assessment. John Morrow, $58.94 for a double assessment.
So,
You? Motion motion from Commissioner Wiley, second from Commissioner Pruitt to approve those reimbursements as requested by Young County Appraisal District. All in favor? Carried. Item number 10, discuss the annual audit of Young County, Texas. Yes. We just had a little talk about that. Did we get that letter in the packet?
Yes, it's, and that's something, like I said, Virgil Quinn just had to send out to get back, and part of this is having his final audit that he finished that. Concerning litigation against the county.
They'll send you a phone, that will be matters that we take care of.
Will this satisfy, Cheryl, will this satisfy what they're requesting with regard to our refinancing things?
For Kenneth, for the audit, this is something that they just had to have, that he has to put about litigations in our final audit.
Yeah.
No, this won't be any concern to Vince at all. This won't be listed in that audit when he does it.
Okay, there's any action to be taken on this?
Really, it's just info only, and it was for him to get into his audit. I don't know about that, I mean, what's going on, we haven't heard. Sometimes they sit there and they just kind of,
Kenneth thinks audit will be ready when?
either August 4th, I think is that the first Monday in August, or the 11th. So it'll be the first, if we have a meeting on August 4th, that's a big possibility.
Well, do they want that full audit before?
I think that Vince did want the actual final gone through court approved audit. Standard & Poor's, I can just, I can send them a copy of our rough draft when I get it, and they're happy. But we did get our rating the other day, and it's still A+.
No action on item 10.
No, sir.
11. Discuss and consider renovation to remodel 3205 Highway 16 South, Precinct 1, Knife Sites.
Sir?
Floor there.
It's going.
As y'all know, we've been suffering under these space and storage problems for a while. When I got to the court, we were working with storage over at the old LEC, which is no longer in existence. Found even a better resource for storage at the Precinct 1 yard at 3205 Highway 16 South, which is the old Schlumberger office building that was sitting on that property when Precinct 1 took it over. So, like I say, 3205 16 South is currently being used for the juvenile probation guarding program. You drive by there, you see the chain link fence and the gardens that the kids are working to for public service out there. There's Miss Cook and her minions out there working, gardening. That's that greenhouse we were talking about. It works very effectively for that. It's been going on for quite a while in that area. But the building we're discussing is that building right there with the front door opening towards the gardens. You can see that this is a picture of that facility from the highway, 16 South, going out of town. The office is standing alone out there by itself. I think it was at one time used for the drug task force, I believe, one time. Last week they were installing some grant-acquired appliances in that building so they can teach these young people how to wash and dry their own clothes.
to do that sort of thing, to do a little bit of remodeling inside, which is good. That building would fall down if it weren't being used. As we all know, buildings do get in bad state of repairs if they're being unused. Our current storage situation after we took down the LEC was to move all the applicable records out to Precinct 1 yard. Precinct 1 purchased this container, added the door to the side. As you walk through that door, on the right-hand side is a cage that was built by Precinct 1 to house juvenile probation records that have to be kept under lock and key. Those can't be out where just anybody can get to them. We had a discussion a few weeks back with the DA when she brought her boxes in with her about her storage problems. Well, we have built a cage to the left of that door as you walk in to house those records that she was discussing with us to keep them under lock and key also. So that building right now is storing juvenile probation records, DA records, and the far end where the double doors are at on the left-hand end is where boxes of records are being held for shredding purposes. There's some there that I believe the offices need to go through because there's some hardbound volumes in there that may be historical that we need to go through. I'm reticent about disposing of anything like that. Once again, the departments are responsible for their records, so they need to come and take a look. This is what it looks like. That picture on the left is on the end there where those records are being kept. You can see those volumes of, a lot of them is old computer runs from old dot makers printers, what have you. You see the cages to the center of the building. The one at the top on the right is the juvenile probation cage. And the empty one there is the new district attorney's cage. She's been apprised that is now available for their use. They wish to go through the other storage facility that they've got out there, which is right there. In that room that is locked, they have a padlock on it. There are no keys to those cages at Precinct 1. Those are in the hands of juvenile probation and district attorney. The only lock and key we have is to go in that outside door. That little white room right there is full already, but it was loaded and packed with records that are not any kind of chronological or order of importance. And so as we take those records out of that building and move them into the new cage, we'd like to put them where dead files go to the bottom and files that they may need go to the top. You'll see that bottom right-hand picture is the things that we've removed from the old LEC building. Stacked over there, Jeff, for the back there, back to the jury wheel back there. So we're hanging under that. Either our bingo parlor or the jury wheel. So get either one. That pallet sitting right there in front is boxes that we took out of the pod, the storage container back there that has shred on it. It needs to be shredded. I will contact Paper Pig and get them to come by out there and shred those. We should have some more shredded documents we need to do also, so I'd like to go through those before we do that. Have one more stop, get rid of all the paper we have that needs to be done, taken care of. So what we have is a problem. When the courthouse was constructed, the folks never, for a moment, thought government would get as big as it has gotten. And as you all know, we're talking about adding to payroll, we're talking about adding people, we're talking about adding services. This courthouse has gotten fairly cramped. Now, I'm saying that lightly because it is very cramped. Each department has a unique mandate on the permanent document storage. Nancy's office is different from Lauren's office, is different from Cheryl's office, is different from Ann's office. They do have storage records that need to be taken care of. With excessive storage and expanding departments creates a need for a permanent solution to the dynamic growth of our government, obviously. So we need to try to plan ahead and get ahead of this thing before it gets out of hand. So I find this 3205 Highway 16 South, an asset that we already own, asset that's sitting, being underutilized, as a solution to our problem. The sign out there at the Texas AgriLife County Extension Office, top of it says Young County Annex. I don't know if it's ever being actually used as an annex, but it could be. That's the building right there. It's a free-span, bolt-together building, built by Schlumberger, I believe, and it lends itself to being configured in any manner we'd like to configure it in. Picture on the right is the back 1,600 feet has those 14-foot walls. They can be decked on that side. We could actually store pallets of paper and boxes on top of those. We could come underneath and build more cages, simple cages like we've got now for records that need to be kept out of the way. It's concrete slab, concrete floor. It would all be secure, be locked up and away from everyone that doesn't need to be in there. Also, it would be accessible through the front office back to the back to store papers and things such as the offices are needing and requiring now. At the current time, we're storing a bit of our equipment in there simply because it's there to be used. We could certainly rearrange Precinct 1 yard and do some other things to store that equipment out of the weather. It's strange because right now we've got $750 million motor grader sitting out the weather, and we've got an old New Holland skid steer and keeping that barn. It doesn't make any sense. We need to do some changing there also. This is the front office portion, 1,600 square feet. One picture to the right, one to the left. You can see the post going down the middle of the picture there. That is the post that divides the rear 14-foot from the front 8-foot walls. I'm glad to say that shredder is gone. It was a workhorse. So this is potential office space. This space can be divided, partitioned, simple partition walls. It will allow for us to put any kind of electrical, high-tech wiring of any kind, put in that wall, arrange it any way we'd want to, so that we can provide office space for whoever we deem we would desire to put in there. This is a suggested plan from an architect that Don Dorsey gave to in Lubbock. I've been talking to Don about this for a while now. You'll see that front 1,600 feet supplies 5 offices, 2 public restrooms, a foyer, a mini break room, and a storage closet, with a door exiting out into that large, non-climate controlled storage area. Those are all simple partition walls for new air conditioning, new flooring, new everything go in there. Very institutional type construction. He proposed an architect that we might talk to if we decide to go any further with this project to make sure that all ADA rules, regulations are complied with. All mechanical situations such as the heating, HVAC, electrical plumbing, that kind of thing, meets our needs, meets the codes. When pushed for a number, he said ballpark would be between $75 and $85 per square foot to build those offices. So that 1,600 square foot up front would cost somewhere around $135,000 at the $85 mark. Consider a 20% overrun, you're still looking at $190,000, which was less than many roofs on some buildings we've considered around here. This is the proposed services that would take to make it happen. The architectural study to provide those particular needs and necessities would cost $9,600. That is the preliminary planning and funding of that plan to get it going. So, that is what I found with 3205. I think it makes a lot of sense, especially from the economic standpoint of it. I understand we may be meeting a little resistance as to who goes out there and for what reason. But we can't stay in this courthouse ad infinitum because it's just too small. The government's going too big. This is not unheard of. Many counties have annexes, have different office buildings that they go to. I talked to Donna Cook. She said she would not mind being out there. She's away from the courthouse at her place over in Breckenridge. It might make a good financial office. I understand there might be some resistance there. It's hard to break paradigm when it has been everything as at the courthouse. Okay? But the courthouse, in this day of technology, does not necessarily require everybody to be there to have a hard copy and a pencil on every piece of paper. Matter of fact, my concerns, a great deal of my concerns, deals with the auditor's office. She has got 3 desks in that room, and you barely can get around in that room. You've got one lady coding invoices. You've got one other lady who's assistant auditor that does HR work, workers' compensation work, and has very private HIPAA conversations at that desk in a room full of people that shouldn't be occurring. And then the auditor herself has lots of work to do, and she needs private space to make sure that her work is as accurate and quality that needs to be done. But all 3 of them are working in a single office, and they need office space. Treasurer's office is rather cramped and hard to get around in. So, I don't know how much space you need. Anyway, there's no reason that financial services for this county can't be offloaded and put elsewhere. Once again, the probate offices, as y'all well know, are all growing, and the number of clients that they deal with is not getting smaller. The youngsters being out there at the yard within that confined area is a plus, I think, for them. That's the reason they developed the gardening program. Get those kids out there and something to do so they can be supervised closely. It's working well. And I just think that this makes a lot of sense. For $200,000, we have a new facility, storage space, and be able to alleviate some of the growing pains that this county has had for the last 10 years at least. So I would recommend that we maybe discuss going forward with this project. I'd like to hear your opinion from all of you here before. Thank you.
Open for discussion. Good job, good research.
I think it's something that we've been moving towards all this time for a good length of time. In my opinion, too, it'd be an excellent place for the juveniles to be for more than one reason. We know that they come here on probation visits, and it's after the courthouse is closed, more than one time during the week. The thing about it is they're traveling back and forth out there for the projects and everything, and it makes more sense if they're out there where the projects are, then that needs to be where the office space is. With that said, we could do that and turn around and give their office space that they have down here, which is 5 offices for the financial group, which makes sense. And then their office space that's left open, we can turn around and use some of that for probation, alleviate some of the stuff from upstairs. I see a win-win way all the way around it for a minimum amount of cost. And as far as the part back there in the back where the storage facility is, precincts can handle a big part of that construction themselves. The only thing that we would say that would do differently on that is when they figure the HVAC on everything, we'd have to figure that back there in that area too, so we can keep it more climate controlled. I discussed climate control with the VA, and she said her records really didn't require any climate control as long as they don't get wet and moist like they
for getting over to old LEC. So that was pretty sticky with all the water leaks and stuff that had.
The only problem though that I see from talking to a lot of people is the old paper from back when, that kind of stuff, it causes it to deteriorate in an expedited manner. And if we can alleviate that, then that'll make it last a lot longer. I have talked to people with the surplus, and they're in the process of looking for these big file systems like they use, the state uses and other people uses, and even the hospitals use, to make it easier and alleviate all the space. And I think that's the key to it. The space that we have there, we can utilize it and make it as efficient as it can be with what we have to work with.
I think instead of using all the boxes like all these departments are doing, go to the system like that the sheriff's office has with the file cabinets that close and you can move them. And that's going to alleviate a ton of space.
That's the system I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay.
And if you do it that way, then you can color code those files by year, by however way you want to color code them, and then make a system where the things that you're not going to look for are going to be the old stuff's going to be on top, and all the newer stuff being down low. And I mean, we all put our heads together and make this thing in a minimal amount. I think it'd be a good deal.
And I think with the juvenile probation being out there, I mean, since they've got the washer, dryer, the garden, all that stuff, and like Stevens County already has it, but theirs is out. Plus, you don't have juveniles coming up here with adults in the courthouse. It just makes sense to me. But,
I just think the building's out of the way, and, when they go to adding $75 to $85 per square foot, you've already got a shell plus a slab, that's way over what it could be. You could build a brand new building for that.
But you will know, the basic IDIQ, Don would put it out for bids.
Yeah.
And when pressed this early in the project to give you a square footage dollar amount,
now,
I'm thinking you probably should.
I agree with Stacy on that. I think that's a little steep.
Yeah, that's just,
Waste.
I just think the location is out of the way. I just hate to see money spent like that.
I'm gonna say the figure will probably be closer to 50 to 60, once it puts out the bids.
I didn't want to put rose-colored glasses on you about the dollar number. And out of the way, I understand that out of the way in a rural community is different than out of the way in a metropolitan community. That's probably a 4-minute drive from the courthouse to here.
Yeah, but it's about in the southeast corner of the county too. A little bit far from the northwest part of the county.
Okay, what are you gonna do for storage, for your storage? You wanna build another building?
The, probably in the future, I will create a shed, and precinct 1 can build a shed for they don't have one now, and they need one. The building that I was showing you that is housing those records now would be available for my use, and it would be moved from the back of that, moved over to the end of my building now where there's an old truck body that we're using for things such as that, and utilize it for our storage there. We don't have a storage problem so far as tools, equipment, lubricants, those kind of things. We don't have a problem there. Matter of fact, the old building out there, the old house that was put out there to store signs in, is really needs to be moved off of that precinct, so we need to get rid of some more storage spaces. Once again, it's similar to the old jail. It's not serving a really good purpose. It's more of a detriment. The roof on it is a composition roof that is very old and needs to be done away with. I'm suggesting that maybe I get rid of this next auction to be moved, or get it out to be moved, get rid of it. But this precinct 1 can change the way it operates to utilize that piece of its property for what I just presented to you.
So when you voluntarily give up this building, then you're gonna want something in return for your equipment.
No, sir.
Sure.
we have got those bays in that building now. There's only one bay that's capable of holding a motor grader. The motor grader has to back all the way up to the back wall to get in that bay. The next bay next to it is a wash bay, and there is a room holding the pump and its machinery in the back that shortens that bay and will allow it to be used to store anything the length of a motor grader. It can, however, hold the skid loader I was just discussing with you. It can hold the backhoe. We can move it in and out. The other bay has got a lift in it. We can actually pull some vehicles up in that. We don't have enough space out there now for storage, but this is not the answer to it, because if you continue to use this building here, we've always got to juggle things and get it in and out of there anyway. The piece of equipment we need is the furthest one in, so we've got to move equipment out to get to it. No, that's not going to present a problem. As a matter of fact, that presents a challenge to us to prepare and better utilize the space we have and plan for the next group of people who will be coming in there years from now and make it a much more adequate facility than it currently is. It needs some renovation and change.
I agree, you need some storage.
Well, that container that we're using now will be a great, that's a lot of storage for us. So, no. I would work it out of Precinct 1's budget. My guys are well capable of, we've got the equipment, we've got the talent to build a shed, we need a shed. And we need a shed when I got there. So,
That's fine, the rest of you, and I appreciate y'all for the storage for records, furniture, equipment, all those kinds of things. There's certain offices that would be applicable for that location. Either probation department's not one of them, and the juvenile, with regard to the juvenile, I think that would probably take some agreement with the juvenile board to allow that to move. I don't think the juvenile board would do that. It's too far out of the way, it's too inconvenient, and
how did it happen in Breckenridge?
I don't know how it happens in Breckenridge. Breckenridge does Breckenridge's thing. Young County will do Young County's thing. That's too unsupervised out there. Nobody knows what goes on. There needs to be some supervision and oversight with regard to the juvenile probation department. That can't happen out there at that location, for sure. And it's too unhandy for all involved. I'm personally not going to go for the juvenile probation department going out there.
Being part of the juvenile probation board, you certainly have that right to do that. I just don't see how they'd be less supervised out there than they would be here. Same number of probation officers looking at them.
Well, because you have some oversight of the board that sees what goes on. And has the ability to recognize things that happen and don't happen.
So what you're saying is they need to be micromanaged?
I know, I don't think so micromanaged.
A member of the board is watching them under here.
I certainly am. And I would think that the district judge would observe occasionally also. Probably both places.
It would prevent you from
I don't know.
supervising on an occasional basis out there.
I don't know what you got in mind for this location for the old LEC used to be, or the previous one. With regard to the financial departments, I can't see them desiring to move out there, but they may.
Well, I would be able to collect the money from the other offices out
So that's fine and dandy. If they want to or they don't want to, I can see where it could make some inconvenience, all right.
Well, the movement of the juvenile probation out there and the alleviation of the space problems that they have moving them into juvenile probation would be the best solution. But if you're not willing to let the juvenile probation move out there to where they spend a lot of their time currently anyway, and the record seems to not have a problem with doing that. Thinking outside the box a little bit, and finding a way to solve the problem, and there's not much we can do. We're pretty well stymied, because even if we built a multi-story new multi-million-dollar annex over there, you still don't move them out of the courthouse because they can't be supervised while you're in your office.
We don't move them to the edge of town, almost as far away from Stevens County, one corner as it is the other.
That's, the edge of town is not 2 miles down the road.
I'm telling you, and Mr. Simon, disagree with that particular part of it. You're right.
It's not like.
And I don't think you can have record storage, mine and Danny, if you want to give up that location for record storage, furniture storage, equipment storage, all the different things that needs to be stored.
I am not giving up that location, Judge. That is not a kingdom that I oversee out there. That is precinct 1 in Young County.
That's
I'm
true.
doing everything I can to help this county operate in an efficient and economical manner. And by using my budget to buy that container out there, and using my time and efforts to build those cages, it's just my way of saying I am part of this county and trying to solve a solution.
We sure thank you.
But I don't consider giving up anything. I'm trying to add to it.
Juvenile probation put out there.
And I don't think you could ever put adult probation up there, because you do have juveniles going out there doing their projects. So I don't think you could mix
Well,
them.
juvenile,
You know what I'm saying?
juvenile and adult just have to be separated by sand. They're separated by sand right here.
Right. Well, not necessarily. If you moved an adult out there, and then you had the juveniles working on their garden, adults.
So I wouldn't go for adults to put down there either.
Anyway.
What's the what's the maximum distance you'd like for that people?
Well, they need to be here in the center of activity.
Center of activity.
Yeah.
I think if we have these people in place in the juvenile department, you can trust them as much out there as you can right here. I don't know why they have to be overseen by you guys.
I'd absolutely like to see them in a different building. But that's something, but I don't want to see them move to the edge of town. A remote location that's inconvenient for almost all parties involved.
A remote location.
That's pretty remote.
You realize the city just annexed the property across the street for a housing development. I disagree with you, Judge. I appreciate your opinion on this, and you're the guy that's got the clout on that juvenile probation.
But I don't know if they can actually stop that, the juvenile board from going out there if it was.
Is it our job as commissioners to provide facilities?
Yep, yes, sir. It is. Adequate facilities.
Toward adequate, give you a problem? Would that be adequate?
Not in my opinion.
I just don't like the location there, and I'm on the my part of the world, it's just out of the way.
It's just
Going
a
all
long
the way
while.
through there.
It's not like you're going 50.
Yeah,
It's
it's just out of the way.
come on, man.
Two out of the way.
No, but anyway.
I respect your opinion.
Mr. Miller, you got anything to throw in on this?
Well, I'm not sure, I missed the first part of this as to where we're talking about. I see south,
We're talking
3205 Highway 16 South at the current Young County Annex.
where Young County Precinct 1 is located and where the county extension service is located.
got the four places to be here.
Slumberjay's old yard.
Four places in there.
I think it was required from Slumberjay.
Huh?
I think it was required from Slumberjay when they moved to their new yard.
on the southern edge of the city limits.
The last building on the left, exiting out of town, still in the city limits.
Well, I know a couple years ago, through that, we added the security door for juvenile probation because of their concern, honest concern of some of the adults coming in with the juveniles, posing a danger, and they will be able to control the entry.
Be the same thing.
We can separate them out.
Yeah, ain't no big deal.
It'll be real thrilled to be too far away to call for any, down here, if they had a problem, we can call for help. Pretty rapidly.
Is the current law enforcement center further away from this facility?
Yeah, I understand.
I don't know, that's a,
It's a shame. And I believe all those folks out there are certified in tasers, have firearms. I think they'll be all right.
They built a multi-million-dollar jail facility out of the way. And then we're
You're
going
talking
to
about two different concepts.
Okay. I was aware that we've had 3 old jail locations downtown. One where our neck of the woods is, one where across the center was, and the LAC that we just removed. So we moved the new one out on the edge of town on 16 North. And I just wonder how that governmental facility is different from,
Pretty difficult to find a 50,000 square foot location here.
of course, I'm looking at location and cost. I think the cost to the taxpayer is trumped by location.
You know, the kids are already out there, and they spend a lot of time out there.
They go out there with probation officers, supervisors, they work those guards, and that's fine then. They also work down here on hand rails, do yard work, garden work, flower bed work. They, anywhere that they are, they have to be supervised by probation officer. So, that's,
I don't understand how that's pertinent to this.
well,
Let's be
that's fine.
certified anywhere they are.
That's fine then. I'm not gonna go for all of the services that they have to be located out there. When they check in, they come in here and do their weekly checks on. I don't necessarily think somebody needs to go from the other side of Maumee to the other side of Young County to check in.
The other side.
From Maumee to the other side of Young County.
They're driving 24 miles from home, what's that?
I don't like the location, man. I
don't understand why.
I think it's inconvenient
Because you think
and
that's
unpractical and impractical. So I'm, giving you my opinion. You made a great presentation, you made a great offer, and I certainly appreciate all the things that you're doing out there to store all the records, all the furniture, all the equipment, everything that we need storage space for. Certain offices, I don't think they can go out there. Juvenile probation, one of them, and I really don't think adult probation would be a.
What do you think about the situation in the auditor's office now? Do you not find it a bad situation?
Obviously, if the two probation departments were in a different location, that would open up a lot of space here in the courthouse for different offices. I don't know where the auditor would like to go.
Well, I don't. I was told to go to precinct 1 when I was elected. I didn't ask him if I had to join.
You ran for that, you were elected to it, you weren't told to go there. I don't know, have you conferred with the auditor about it?
I've had some discussions with
And
her.
I do.
And she's a good soldier. She'll go where she needs
I'll
to
go where I need to.
I'd like to check with other
I'm not
counties to
sure
see
the
how many
district
departments,
judges-
juvenile and probation departments are
About
not
that.
in Woodhouse.
About the financial, like you said with
How many
her
of these departments are?
getting the money in every morning from JP be a little inconvenient. And the financial needs to stay together. The treasurer and the auditor, wherever we go.
Poses a question, what have you got in mind for this location over here that, you destroyed? Old LEC.
That's not the word we should use there.
That's what we did. Demolished it.
We removed it from the
Okay.
property.
We've got, that's the only location that Young County has left to do anything with on the square.
You had other locations at one time that sold.
This is not,
Oh, we have left.
this square was dedicated to Young County originally. And it's been piecemealed away at the post office, civic services center, to the crisis center, and those things, and that's the only location in Young County. What have you got in mind for that? That's a pretty direct question.
Money is attached to that piece of property. And right now, with the tax crisis that we seem to be having in Union County, I'm not prepared to look at the amount of money it would take to put a building on that particular location. When we've got a location that we can do it more economically, more satisfactorily in my eyes, in my opinion, than building something over there and maybe even having to call for a bond election, especially an increase in taxes.
Okay,
It takes revenue to put something on that building.
I can't just disagree with all that. It sure does. It takes revenue. But surely you have a plan going forward.
The plan was to relieve the county from that burden that it's having, trying to keep that building in any kind of condition whatsoever. It was sitting there deteriorating. It was useless for the purposes we were using it for.
Okay?
It did not fit into our plans for our future, technologically or space-wise. It needed to go away.
Well, I'll put you a plan out there for this repurposing and reuse. Obviously, the court didn't agree with that.
Well, your initial budget for a roof was more than the renovation of that building out there would cost. And you know that cost a lot of money.
I believe it had $90,000 in the initial budget for the reroofing.
And that was to fix the roof.
That was to replace the roof. That wouldn't touch it. Brand new roof.
We had several people say that that was not enough money to fix that roof, replace that roof. And we did not need to continue to maintain
Okay.
the condition we were maintaining. 12,000 square feet that was built like an egg carton.
Okay, I presented you a plan.
I brought you a shoebox.
I presented you a plan that had a budget going forward to repurpose the property. You didn't like it. You didn't agree with it. So we demolished it and removed it.
Okay. Your turn to
It's
dislike
subject.
Okay.
I don't like your plan with removing the juvenile probation department now. Anything else that you have in regard to that facility out there,
So if we found a useful purpose for it out there, you would have no problem with renovating, remodeling the place.
for storage,
No offices.
it depends on what office you want to move out there.
Why can't you move Nancy's office out there?
Excuse me?
Why can't you move Nancy's office?
If the court chooses to do that.
I'm just saying, I mean, I just,
I'm not going to do anything shooting me for example.
Nancy was like, what?
Yeah, we were talking about somebody who feel one and all.
Your proposal of $75 to $85 square foot, build a brand new building right over there on the lot.
Is that what your solution is for them?
Oh, come on, you gotta be kidding. You know what? They said you don't know the place for cost numbers every day. Every day.
I said,
What size building you talking about?
I was involved in one 2 years ago. It's about $75 square foot. You know where it's at.
And there's another good reason that we got rid of the LEC. We put another building up for that kind of price. And all we were doing was spending money on it over there, trying to patch it together, keep our records straight.
You're gonna spend a bunch of money,
Don't want to spend a bunch of money.
well, I don't see,
And those numbers came from Don Dorsey, not myself.
I don't see patching up a metal building and making.
That roof came from Don Dorsey and some roofing people that put quotes on it, about $9,000 for replacing the roof.
That was not a replacement, that was a repair.
That was to replace the roof that was on it. You don't like a flat roof, I don't like a flat roof either, but there's flat roofs being built everywhere, all the time.
That was a flat roof with 45 plus vents coming out the top of it, with more flashing than you could ever hope to seal it.
Okay, it's gone, and we don't make,
There you go.
Make a big that, that's the deal.
I'll concur. All right, thank you for allowing me to discuss it.
Any other questions regarding that plan? Is there any motion to be made in regard to that plan?
I would like to revisit this at a later date.
I think you did. I mean, like, numbers of, to approximately 75 to 80.
Well, this is not the day to make a decision on it.
No. I'm saying when you come back, I mean, is there any way we can get like, well, Joe Smith?
Not until we do, not until we spend the $9,600 on the architect, and we really tell what it's gonna cost.
But after we've done projects with Don Dorsey, you do feel comfortable as using him as a contractor?
We're doing that
That's what I'm saying.
because we have used basic IQ, that is not Don Dorsey. Don Dorsey can come and go. They'll have another Don Dorsey.
Well, I mean, yeah, but basic, you know,
Basic, I'm satisfied using them.
you know how many change orders we do on every project. It's been.
Stacy, there's another reason the LEC Center had to go away. We can get a number, decide what we're gonna do, you're gonna start those change orders. I've never gone into a remodeling of a facility like that didn't have cost over.
Have you got a motion to table this to a later date?
I agree with you, table this to a later date.
I'll second.
We discussed. The deal with change orders, and this is my opinion, what I see in this thing. I'm thankful that we did what we did in those restrooms. I'm thankful we did what we did in the renovation that they've done, because had they not done those, we'd be looking at a whole lot more problem than what we would have. Because what they uncovered in those renovations and those change orders it cost us, saved us, there's no telling how much money.
Somebody bids a job, they need to take that into account, what they're gonna uncover.
Stacy,
You know
if
exactly-
you can
know
look
what's gonna happen.
through with an X-ray vision, you and I both know it's just like going out there working on the road. That road may look just like it is, but you get out there and start working on it, you still don't know what's underneath until you start digging into it.
But you're not a contractor, Jimmy, but you knew exactly how rotten that plumbing was gonna be.
I had no idea how that plumbing was gonna be.
You should have known. How old that.
If I can know that kind of stuff, I can
They
do
should have
do
been,
do
it
what.
should have been bid.
Tell me what the lottery numbers are in that.
Jimmy Carter.
All in favor of the motion to table to a later date, to be determined? Okay, carried 5. Okay. While we're talking about issue, we'll move on to item 12. I've also got a little conceptual drawing here. Don't have any idea what it's called, just what I think should go over, or what I'd like to see go over on that 502. On the corner, the west corner of the square up there. That would house the 2 probation departments. And a storage
area in between for them or anybody else that might need to be, what it costs them. I don't have any idea, and just this is just a conceptual idea. It would fit over on that is 7,000 square feet. Would have the juvenile and adult probation be separated by sight and sound. And I think it's an adequate place for either or both of those departments. You don't necessarily have anything else to say other than that.
I'm not the big deal about the juvenile though, it's more right here.
One within,
They can watch them.
on one part. Where they can be found, where they can be seen. Call meeting back to session. Move on to item number 13. Discuss quotes from other counties for used election equipment. Lawrence Sullivan, election administrator.
You guys all got the spreadsheet in your packets that while at conference, I got 2 really pretty good offers on our equipment. Ashland County came through with $124,500 for part of the equipment. Henderson County has another $80,000. Some of it's the same equipment, some of it's different. And that's still not all of the equipment that we own. So I talked to Hart, and a couple of things. They said, number one, that the prorated amount of licensing and support that we've already paid for this year would be credited back to us at whatever we haven't used. So that's not an issue. They also said, depending on their demand, if there were still pieces of equipment out that we didn't sell, didn't get offers on, they could still be interested in buyback on some of those. The other thing is the timeline may be shifting a little bit. Y'all know how fast the state moves on things. The equipment is somewhat backlogged for the moment. And so right now they're telling me we're looking more at a November rollout with a July delivery date. But they may call next week and say, we're no longer backlogged, we're pushing it all on through and we're back to looking at May. It kind of just depends on what the state offices do and how fast they do things. So those are kind of the updates that I've got from Hart. The other thing that they sent in this morning is they have new price estimates on the varied touches and the touches with access. Both of those have gone up $1,000 on it. So, if we didn't get this contract signed by July 31st, we would be looking at a minimum of $129,000 increase.
And when you say the state offices, for the state, are you talking about the Secretary of State?
It's the certification process.
Okay,
So,
and who certifies them?
I
Secretary
believe
of
the
State?
secretary.
Okay, so they're backlogged in certifications.
I don't really know. That's all they said was that there was a backlog and they were waiting. So, they don't think it's the machines, they think it's paperwork. So, that's all Ken told me. We were at a function,
So
welcome
all
dinner.
this information's coming from Hart, you gotta actually talk to the Secretary of State.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
That's kind of it, unless anybody's got.
On these prices that you got from Ector County, was the Henderson gonna take over what we have left over, the pieces that they need?
I would offer that to them. I don't know if they would still be interested if we didn't do the whole kit. I don't know. I had not talked to them about that. I did talk to them about the possibility of an extended timeline. I was agreeable to that.
I guess my point is, if we sell everything that Ector wants,
We still have,
what difference and what dollar amount is left over for what Henderson?
we would still have 17 cows and the servo that they were interested in.
What did that into?
13,000.
Oh.
How do you make a calculation?
That would be 23,400.
For all of it?
That would be Henderson, what was left on Henderson.
Then that will bring the total up to 150,000 now, right there.
That's correct.
What's the difference in the DAU and this rotary?
Dow is the handicap ship. So it sits a little shorter and
Is that
it's,
just the, framework or whatever?
no, the Dow has capabilities for audio. It has, on these new ones, it has the wheel, like we have on our current machines. It still has the wheel and buttons, whereas the touch does not. It is only a touch screen. And in order to comply with ADA, we have to have the blind functionality. So,
Is either one of these labeled or the Dow unit, either one of them curbside?
all of them can be. We usually take out a Dow just because it's on the end of the daisy chain, but any of them can be. They're just unplugged them and pop out, just take out their cell phone. And it would be the same piece.
So what is, don't have no paperwork, what's the price for the new? 335?
335, 798.
335. It's possible that we can get 155,000.
Or
That
37.
license fee.
Well, it's prorated, so it depends on what the delivery date is. It could be as much as,
We're not counting on it.
I don't know what they count on, as far as that goes.
I think part of ripping us too on that $30,000 for training. Getting new equipment from them and then wanting to charge $30,000 to help you with it, I don't think so. Like Jimmy and I was discussing this morning about, what, $350,000 road graders, and they come out and train you for free. So,
And Hart and I talked about that at length, and they gave me a $20,000 quote for 15 minutes. That was the best I could do on it.
that's just stupid. It shouldn't even cost nothing.
So if you could get the 124,426 and the 23,400 from Henderson County, that's 147,826. And subtract that from the 335,798, be 187,972.
Is that the old price sheet or is that?
That is the old price sheet with the new prices, instantly.
About 190,000.
$38,000 a year.
37,559.
What was the difference be? Not that yet. No.
Be at 187, 972.
So we've gone from 72,000 or so as originally presented down to 38,000 a year if we did that these used equipment.
It's amazing.
You're entering rounds of different considerations.
It's amazing though, whenever you don't take the first quote what somebody says.
Like I said, if we got down to it and we still had JVCs and tallies and we were just ready to get rid of them, and there may still be that option from Hart.
Does Ector County know that, or does Henderson County know that Ector County?
They know I've been talking to other counties, yes.
Doesn't that amaze you though, that Ector County, way bigger county than us, still want these machines?
They're wanting to do both centers and have more machines in each precinct.
I think
I can do
we're
both
talking
centers
about
and
replacing our entire fleet of voting machines. Ector County is talking about changing their entire fleet.
yeah,
We're
they,
probably talking about multi-millions of dollars to do something.
at least.
But do you not understand what you're saying? They're still useful to people.
But if we wait,
Well,
If
Ector
we
County may be in
wait,
a position where they've
I
got.
can tell you, in 2 weeks, we're already gonna be up to nearly $500,000 rather than 190.
but if we wait, our used equipment's gonna be obsolete. There's
That's not what it is.
150,000 that we
That's
can't
not what it is.
count on. That's, so you go the used equipment and you add the price increase, and that's quite a bit of money you need to be looking at, rather than waiting 2 years.
Yeah, we're roughly looking at $250,000.
But you don't know how long these machines are gonna last.
Current ones lasted 12. So,
I mean, these machines, I'm talking about these like, they can go on for another 15 years.
He said they're gonna be obsolete because.
Well, then why are they still selling them, Stacy?
Because they're trying to get 2 more years out of it. Extra
Come on, they're just trying to sell you something.
it's the car analogy, it's when you stop putting money into a car that may only get you so many more miles down the road.
I want to vote on it, I don't agree with it.
I mean, it's a
Like
lot of
we're
money.
wasting the taxpayers' money, and I've been told by the taxpayer this is wasting money.
It's a lot of money right now, but when you wait 2 years and your equipment is obsolete, you get zero for it, that's more.
You don't, I promise you, in 2 years, these slates will still be out. I promise you.
For some of them, I'd like to go back to paper ballot.
Sorry, that made my heart flutter a little.
It's like technology, and the technology changes, and they will last until the new generation of equipment comes out, just like the first generation. We got in on the first generation of electronic equipment, they mandate have it, so Kodak, and Ford decided that they would go completely electronic to do away with any
Hanging
paper
chads.
maintenance, hanging chads and all that kind of thing. You know, it didn't hurt as bad then because we had $170,000 or $80,000 or something. How
Somebody else should help me with that.
they were able to spend on a lot of that equipment. You know, the technology changed.
And then how can you explain what is hard wanting to charge you $20,000 now for training? Really? They want to charge you that much to train you for 15 days? Come on, man.
It don't make sense.
It don't make sense.
That's been the bone of contention in the.
Well, that's just absurd. They wouldn't really want to sell equipment.
They charged it the first round.
Yeah, they did charge us.
It was just.
Well, I can't help y'all with that then. I wasn't here then. But I can help it now, maybe.
And I'm just playing devil's advocate here, from a capitalism-free enterprise standpoint, Hart probably has a pricing structure that they actually make most of their money off of that training and less of the equipment, so the training is more important to sell than the equipment is. If they were making a great deal on the, you've got to decide when you go in to sell these kind of things. Am I gonna make it all up front of the equipment, or am I gonna make it on the servicing and training?
And I'll say this.
Software companies typically go for software training.
When I bought the servo and the tally at the beginning of the year, they charged $1,800 for that girl to come sit in my office for 2 hours. It's their cost to get here and stay and overnights and whatever. That's their cost.
It would make a little bit better to do that today.
You can't let me go all the time.
Do what?
They better, people have better than do us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably true, they probably make most of their money on their service rather than the product.
The product stimulates the service.
And I've asked them every different way we can come up with as far as how to make this better, you know, that $20,000. This was the best thing they could come up with, and
I think the
I
time,
say business, they gotta sell it.
doing, I think the time will come more sooner than later, we should, they will stop
Servicing it.
servicing and stop producing those.
Stacy said the right thing while ago that right now, our used equipment has reached its premium level.
I'm just shocked at the bids that they make it for.
I am shocked that it's changed that much into also.
This kind of like my used trucks, you know, they didn't want to get the industrial on there first, but that's the easy way out, but now that you take little pains and do some research, maximize your trade-ins.
I think I've been a little naive though, thinking that these machines that we got now are gonna be obsolete in 2 years.
well, the support
people still
system
buy.
behind them is going to be obsolete at the first of next year. They won't sell it, they won't service it, they won't have it. Windows 2000 is out as of 2015. So the support in the background that I have to have in order to make an election go forward is gone.
There's no,
What you gotta do is get the
You
new
can't
Windows.
upgrade it.
there's no antivirus for Windows 2000.
What do you pay monthly right now for your warranties and your servicing? and
Have we paid $12,000 this year? I think that's about right. I think we paid $12,000 a year for licensing and support.
Let me run those through the cost.
Well, why wasn't this thought about years ago, before she lived here? I mean, all this 2000 around.
Yeah, this is brand new stuff.
It's brand new, they've never been offered before.
They've just got this developed and they're, you know,
And you have to remember, this stuff was designed in 2002, when we didn't have technology that we thought would go anywhere near as forward as it has.
Okay, we're getting 3-year warranty on this, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
For about $18,000.
for a 3-year warranty. And what we've been spending in cost and repair, we're more than pay the payment for 3 years.
Now.
Now. Before it wouldn't, before it wouldn't.
So basically,
Why isn't everybody else scrambling for these things?
I don't know that they're not.
And then,
Apparently, there's only 2 people interested, is what they told me.
and then ask the
Well, 3
question.
months ago, they've only had 2 contracts.
Virginia and Young County, some place in Virginia, and the Young County,
Has
Texas.
anybody asked the question?
Come on, man, really? I'm gonna be like our judge is on the moving the juvenile. I'm stuck in it, and where I'm at to say no.
Hey, Lauren, I keep covering this before, but it's hard, you only need.
They're the only provider of this type of election. They are a sole provider.
The other one is a lot higher.
Well, higher, the technology is not as advanced.
they're limited players for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. 2 major companies in home.
It's kind of like in the propane business, there's not but 2 people in the state of Texas that will insure us. So it makes a difference on how your premium is. Sounds like this kind of electric.
And, you know, the ES&S, who's the other company that even produces election equipment, most of their clients are leaving. I got an email, one presented here that another county was putting all their equipment up for sale. They were moving the heart.
you know what Wichita County, they were ES&S.
They may still be, I would have to go back and look.
What they,
I don't know the name off the top of my head. I had people telling me last week that if we could get rid of our stuff and go to Hart, we'd do it in a heartbeat.
Is that because of the technological issue?
Customer service.
Good job.
all of these, for these 3 counties, got Ector, Henderson, Coriel, you say you got another one.
I have not put it out there officially that we have the opportunity for bids. I feel that that's a little premature, given we don't know if we're gonna have something up for bid. So, all this has kind of been, what's your interest, what's your, but while we were at conference, there was another county that was kind of mentioned that might be interested. I have not had the opportunity to contact them as of yet. And how much they'd be interested in, I don't know. I don't have any idea.
I would be interested in seeing what Henderson County would do if they want the remainder of what's left,
You mean the e-scans and everything?
what's left of it, yeah.
Whether you have that,
What they offered, the only thing I would have left that they were interested in is the 17 Dows and the one servo. They are going from a paper-based system where you actually go in, you put your votes on the computer, it spits out a ballot, and then you feed it into an e-scan. So she said, I'm actually gonna have 39 e-scans that I've gotta get rid of. So she doesn't want ours.
But that's the thing though, if she can get this at a reduced rate, then that means that the other part won't be as expensive that she's gonna have to buy.
I'm not sure.
Anything that she can get at the price that she's quoted, is gonna be cheaper than what it would cost brand new.
Oh, absolutely.
See what I'm saying? It's the same thing that we did several years ago when we did what we did.
Well, and like I said, if I put this out that we really are taking actual bids, I don't know if anybody's gonna want those JPCs, I don't know if anybody's gonna want that e-scan. You know, those may be other options that may come in, that I have not. I feel like putting the cart before the horse is kind of,
Well, here's
It's
the thing,
not
that's what we're
advanced.
doing anyway, that's what you guys are wanting to do anyway, is put
Well,
for the horse.
you know,
Well, assuming we can win that.
I don't know, well, bids, that's basically what we're doing right now is, it's not something that's gonna have to be bid because it can be transferred.
County to county.
right, but, I mean, I haven't made that opportunity known to other counties at this
We're
point.
basically saying, okay, we've got this deal working, are you interested in this equipment, how interested are you?
Ector County came up to me twice and said, I'm very, 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 very interested in this. I know they've come up with a
It's
judge,
obviously they are,
Yeah,
good
they are.
that they like.
and Henderson County is as well.
did they make us a bid on the, bid in total?
They did not. I can ask, I mean,
And we got somebody else looking at it, but we'd like to run the entire thing to one person if possible. Would you be that person? We've all been in a situation where we're buying a car and you've got the figure for a car, just will want to. And they shoot you the price on that car and you go, I'm not gonna pay that for a new car when my car is good. And they ask you that question, what price would it have to be to get you to buy it today? And you open your mouth and you walk away with a new car that you didn't intend to buy. Okay, and that's just an example. But when we started this summer, I can tell you, I was not prepared to spend that kind of money for a new voting machine. We're starting to get in territory where,
get a little more attractive.
and well, it is. You know, I think somebody say, what would you give for something? And if I said less than $200,000, back when the quote was $345 or $55, and they said, okay. I don't know why you're doing it, but we're rapidly getting to that point. It's been because of your hard work, and I appreciate that.
Well, we're at the point now, we're gonna buy a complete new system for less than what we bought the
We
original.
can almost buy a new system for less than we're selling our old system for.
I did send Henderson a wish list pricing guide, and it's basically $500 to $1,000 off a piece, it just kind of depends on the piece. That total was $195,000.
I'll have to do it too.
That's based on the
What we're gonna have to do when we do this, is you're gonna have to get a contract with that county. Stating that this is our timeline, this is our amount of money. And that way, we have a contract that's bound. So whenever the thing happens, we can say, okay, here we are. We take a check and we give you equipment.
We do understand the equipment can be available for until until the new comes on.
We still,
That's, and like I said, I talked to both Exeter and Henderson, and they both understood that timelines may increase and or decrease. There's just no way to know at this point.
that's the key, is what Mike's saying, is we need to find out how much, if you want the rest of it at this price, if not, then Henderson needs to come up, see if they want what they want. But the more we get out of that, the cheaper it's going, the price gets. The cheaper the better.
I just see this old equipment getting obsolete. And it's, we've got to have, recoup that money, what we can out of it, to go towards this new equipment. We can't start over.
You know, gentlemen, I know we discussed it in this room, but I've got heavy equipment salesmen that come to me every day telling me that my equipment needs to change, it's costing me money to keep it. And I need to swap with them for X number of dollars. And I would just as soon make that equipment go to the end. And there's the same question, do we make this equipment go till it's worth nothing? Or we get rid of it while it is worth something and we can dodge this price of full retail? Because as far as I can see, the negotiations have changed significantly since we first looked at that number that we looked at first.
It's the same thing in that analogy. You go out west, you go over to Seymour, Latter County. Those guys were driving old galleon maintainers. That they were spending more money on a year to keep them going than what it was gonna cost them to make a payment on a brand new.
So where does it break over?
You know,
They bought brand new.
they bought brand new.
Are they gonna run them as long as they do those galleons?
No. No.
Oh, shit.
I guess we need to table this then.
We're we've not in here about it again.
So I'm here.
If she's gonna do her budget, we gotta know what to plug in.
Has anybody talked to you, since that, they even come close to taking their money?
Those are the two hardest offers out there. Everybody else is call me when you know whether you're gonna have
And
something.
what do they hinge on?
Us,
What will make them bonus that?
us,
What do they need to hear from us if we have bought new machines?
that we have ours for sale.
If we tell them that ours are for sale and they buy them, that kind of forces us into
That's
making a decision.
that's the dance I'm doing, you know? I can't put them for sale till I know I'm gonna have something to plug into for that election.
I'm driving a new truck now because out of my mouth on my old truck, it got bought.
Well, I don't know about Henderson County or L County, but I'm confident that this has been run through their commissioner's court.
Okay.
See how many dollars they'd be willing to invest in that. So I have had contact with them, and
You have that?
yes, sent,
Good enough.
sent inventory that Lauren put together and sent to me. I forwarded it out to Exeter County. So, and I have had contact that information they would be passing this through the commissioner's court now, budget time, seeing how much money they'll be putting in it. So,
And my understanding was she was doing that last week, or first of this week, kind of getting everybody's time on.
I'll be pretty confident that they're,
They were.
you know, well, they'll give more for,
The entire package.
not, but, you know, I made the emphasis that we would really prefer to sell all of it in one package, but with entertainment idea, what they were interested in too.
If they wouldn't take it all, would they take what we've got left between the two offers? We need to mop up the extra.
Well, but, I mean, what they've got left between the two offers really is the Tally and the East Lake at that point, and
Henderson County's doing a lot more money on
staff.
the,
So, and that,
last 5
what that price is on the 10 Dows from Ector County. When we supplemented our equipment, there were, and I'd have to go back and look and see exactly how many, 8 or 9 Dows that we bought for $525. And they saw that price, and so, and that was a mistake on my end. And so what I would do is I would pull those however many that we paid $525 for, we recoup our money on those. They would give the same serial numbers that we bought.
Like showing the cars to them.
I know, and it really was a bad mistake, so. So the East Lakes to Ector and the Dows to Henderson, that makes a $30,000 difference. And we could do that. Hurt my feelings.
But this thing trimmed down, was really not a big increase in your budget over what we're spending on those others.
No, and if maintenance costs continue to go up, it really helps that percentage.
Really, the only thing that's not here, Ector didn't have any interest in was the servo and tiling the batteries. They
The
didn't,
batteries are gonna be hard to sell. I mean,
they're using all the dollars, but they wanted 10 of them.
It's one of them things that give them.
yeah, and I probably would.
Sweeten the deal.
Or still have the, more than the minimum charge on them, but if they get bumped in the middle of the night by a bug, they may lose charge. I mean, they're getting to that point. I'm trying very hard not to have to replace.
Lecter County is the only county that can absorb that many machines, because I'm sure Cordell can.
Correct. They wanted 5 to 15, Cordell did, and so I went ahead and put the 15 on there, but they don't. And I've got 2 or 3 ideas like that where we want 2 or 3 or 4 of this, and you know, this was the best, most full offer.
They have to give you a range if they say this is what we want,
This is what we want.
and that's what they put in.
I think they originally said 3 to 5 JVCs, but this was what they emailed me last week.
Henderson County, same way. They'll give us that one.
Yes, that was their, this is what we want.
Next on the list, we work on this.
She's on page 19.
With regard to,